a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy.
Malcolm Turnbull. Malcolm Turnbull is an Australian politician serving as the 29th and current Prime Minister of Australia since September 2015. He first served as leader of the Liberal Party from 2008 to 2009, and again after defeating Tony Abbott at the 2015 leadership spill. The Turnbull government was re-elected at the 2016 federal election with a one-seat majority. Turnbull attended Sydney Grammar School before going to the University of Sydney, where he graduated with Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Laws degrees. He then attended Brasenose College, Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar, taking the degree of Bachelor of Civil Law. For over 2 decades prior to entering politics, Turnbull worked in personal and managerial positions as a journalist, lawyer, merchant banker, and venture capitalist. A multimillionaire, he purchased a stake of internet service provider Email in 1994 for $500,000, and sold his stake just months before the dot-com bubble burst in 1999 for $57 million, paving the way to his current estimated net worth of above $200 million, with entries in the BRW Rich 200 list. Turnbull became a public figure as chairman of the Australian Republican movement from 1993 to 2000. He was one of the leaders of the unsuccessful Yes campaign in the 1999 Republic referendum. Turnbull unsuccessfully contested Liberal pre-election for the division of Wentworth in New South Wales at a 1981 by-election and the 2001 federal election. He was finally successful in the lead-up to the 2004 federal election, and was subsequently elected to the House of Representatives. In the Howard government, he served as Minister for the Environment and Water from January 2007 until the defeat of the Liberal government at the 2007 election. Turnbull declared himself a candidate in the subsequent leadership election, but lost to Brendan Nelson by 3 votes. Following a period of poor opinion polling, Turnbull challenged and defeated Nelson by 4 votes in September 2008, thus becoming leader of the opposition. Because of his views on issues like climate change, republicanism, abortion, and same-sex marriage, Turnbull is considered part of the moderate wing of the Liberal Party. His support of the carbon pollution reduction scheme proposed by the Rudd government in late 2009 caused a split with the Conservative wing, and Tony Abbott subsequently challenged and defeated him for the leadership by a single vote. Initially intending to leave politics, Turnbull became Minister for Communications in the Abbott government following the coalition victory at the 2013 federal election on the 14th of September 2015, citing consistently poor opinion polling for the government. Turnbull resigned from cabinet and challenged Abbott to a leadership ballot, which he won by 10 votes. He was sworn in as Prime Minister the following day, and formed the Turnbull government. Opinion polling indicated that Turnbull enjoyed a honeymoon period of several months after becoming Prime Minister, but from around April 2016 both his personal satisfaction ratings and the coalition's two-party polling lead had evaporated. At the July 2016 federal election, the Turnbull government retained majority government by just a single seat, the smallest majority since the 1961 election. In the days of uncertainty following the election, Turnbull had negotiated with the crossbench and secured confidence and supply support from Bob Katter, Andrew Wilkie and Cathy McGowan in the event of a hung parliament and potential need for minority government. Early life and education. Malcolm Turnbull was born in Sydney on 24 October 1954. The only child of Bruce Turnbull and Coral Magnolia Lansbury. His father was a hotel broker, while his mother was a radio actor, writer, and academic, and a second cousin of the British film and television actress, Angela Lansbury. His maternal grandmother, May Lansbury, was born in England, while his other grandparents were Australian-born. Turnbull suffered asthma as a young child. His parents separated when he was 9, with his mother leaving first for New Zealand and then the United States. Turnbull was then raised by his father. Turnbull is of direct paternal Scottish descent. His great-great-great-grandfather John Turnbull arrived on the Coromandel in 1802 in New South Wales and became a tailor. In an interview in 2015, Turnbull said that his middle name, Bligh, is a tradition for generations, named after Governor Bligh, who was much admired. During his childhood, he practiced Presbyterianism. He converted to Roman Catholicism upon marriage. Turnbull spent his first 3 years of school at Vaucluse Public School. He then attended the St Ives Preparatory School at Sydney Grammar School as a boarder. In senior school he was a boarder at the former Randwick campus of the school while attending classes at the main College Street campus on a partial scholarship. He was senior school co-captain in 1972, as well as winning the Lawrence Campbell Oratory competition, excelling particularly in the literary subjects such as English and history. However, contrary to certain sources, Turnbull was not the dux of his graduating year at Sydney Grammar. In 1987, in memory of his late father, he set up the Bruce Turnbull Means-Tested Scholarship at Sydney Grammar, which offers full remission of fees to a student unable to afford them. In 1973, Turnbull attended the University of Sydney and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1977 and a Bachelor of Laws degree in 1978. During his studies, he was involved in student politics, serving as board director of the University of Sydney Union. He also worked as a political journalist for Nation Review, Radio 2 SM, and Channel 9 covering state politics. In 1978, Turnbull won a Rhodes Scholarship, and attended Brasenose College, Oxford, where he studied for a Bachelor of Civil Law degree. From 1978 to 1980, graduating with honours. While at Oxford, he worked for the Sunday Times, and contributed to newspapers and magazines in the United States and Australia. While at Oxford, a university don wrote of Turnbull that he was always going to enter life's rooms without knocking. Professional career. After graduating from Oxford, Turnbull returned to Australia and began working as a barrister. He left the bar in 1983. Firstly, he attempted pre-selection in the safe Liberal seat of Mosman. However, he lost to Philip Smiles. Then he chose to become General Counsel and Secretary for Australian Consolidated Press Holdings Group from 1983 to 1985. During this time he defended Kerry Packer against the Goanna allegations made by the Costigan Commission. Turnbull attempted to use the press to goad the counsel assisting the Commission, Douglas Maher QC, into suing him and Packer for the withering public attack both undertook to sully Maher's and Costigan's names. Turnbull accused Maher and Costigan of being unjust, capricious, dishonest and malicious. Turnbull led Packer to sue Maher for defamation, an action that was struck down by Justice David Hunt as being an abuse of process, and that Turnbull had managed to poison the fountain of justice. The scorched earth tactic made Turnbull enemies in the NSW Bar Association, something that led to Turnbull leaving the Bar Association. In partnership with Bruce McWilliam, he established his own law firm of Turnbull McWilliam. During 1986, Turnbull defended Peter Wright, a former MI5 official who wrote the book Spycatcher, and successfully stopped the British government's attempt to suppress the book's publication in Australia. Turnbull later wrote a book on the trial. In 1987, Turnbull established an investment banking firm, Turnbull, in partnership with Neville Wran and the former State Bank of New South Wales chief executive, Nicholas Whitlam. Whitlam parted company with the others in 1990, and the firm operated as Turnbull, to become a managing director and later a partner of Goldman Sachs. Turnbull was a director of FTR Holdings Limited, chair and managing director of Goldman Sachs Australia and a partner with Goldman Sachs & Co. Turnbull was a director of Star Technology Systems, which attempted, but failed, to mine gold at Sukhoi Log Mine. In the 1990s, Turnbull was chairman of Axiom Forest Resources, which conducted logging in the Solomon Islands under the trading name Sylvania Forest Products. The latter's work was described by the Australian International Development Assistance Bureau as a clear-felling operation, and the then Solomon Islands Prime Minister Solomon Mamilani reportedly threatened to close it down for constant breaches of logging practices, according to a critical article in the Solomon Times. Turnbull purchased a stake of internet service provider Email in 1994 for $500,000, and sold his stake just months before the dot-com bubble burst in 1999 for $57 million, to then telecommunications giant MCI WorldCom. In the same year he used his software and investment company FTR Holdings Limited, to take positions in a number of internet businesses including WebCentral and Chaos.com. In May 2002, Turnbull appeared before the HIH Insurance Royal Commission, and was questioned on Goldman Sachs' involvement in the possible privatization of one of the acquisitions of the collapsed insurance company. The Royal Commissioner's report made no adverse findings against him at Goldman Sachs, however. Turnbull was one of 9 defendants who settled later litigation over the collapse in undisclosed payments, thought to be worth as much as $500 million. Early political involvement. Turnbull first showed interest in entering the Australian Parliament in 1981. He stood for Liberal Party pre-selection for the seat of Wentworth in the eastern suburbs of Sydney in the 1981 Wentworth by-election. However, he was beaten by Peter Coleman. He attempted pre-selection in the safe seat of Mosman in 1983, but lost to Philip Smiles. He let his membership of the Liberal Party lapse in the 1980s, and rejoined in late 2000. Turnbull was federal treasurer of the Liberal Party and a member of the party's federal and New South Wales executives from 2002 to 2003, and was also a director of the Menzies Research Centre, the Liberal Party's research centre. In 1993 he was appointed by Paul Keating as chairman of the Republic Advisory Committee, charged with exploring ways of moving Australia to an overtly Republican form of government, by removing the Queen from Australian government. Australian Republican movement. From 1993 to 2000, Turnbull was the chairman of the Australian Republican movement. He was an elected delegate at the Australian Constitutional Convention 1998 in Canberra in February. At the convention, Turnbull cautioned against mixing the roles of President and Prime Minister, advocating a parliamentary republic, and supported the bipartisan appointment Republican model adopted by the convention. Turnbull was active in the unsuccessful 1999 referendum campaign to establish an Australian republic as chairman of the Yes Committee. He published a book on the campaign, called Fighting for the Republic. When the referendum failed, Turnbull accused incumbent Prime Minister and monarchist John Howard of breaking the nation's heart. In 2000, Turnbull retired as chairman of the Australian Republican movement. Turnbull left the board of Ozflag in 1994 after being asked for his resignation, and in 2004 joined the Australian National Flag Association.
Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?